Hello, my name is Tim. I am the Jazzy Chemist. I am a professional chemist and an amateur saxophone player. So far on this platform, I have been posting my progress in learning to play songs from Lenny Niehaus's Basics of Jazz Conception for Saxophone, as well as some tips and helpful hints I've picked up along the way for saxophone playing in general. I'm going to continue doing that, but in addition to that, I want to do a series of videos talking about some of the historical relationship between music and science. In particular, I want to point out Nobel Prize winners and other famous scientists who were very accomplished musicians as well. It's very surprising how large of a number of scientists fall into that category. And by exploring this, we might get a vision into how the study of music helps develop the scientific mind, and vice versa. So I want to start with Max Planck. Max Planck was a German physicist who lived from 1858 to 1947. He got the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1918 for work he had published in the late 1890s, a little bit in the early 1900s, giving theoretical explanations for the temperature dependence of spectral densities for radiation from black holes. What that basically means is how we can tell what color something's going to glow and how bright, based on its temperature. And that was the very beginning of the work that led to the discovery of quantum mechanics over the next 30 years or so. And several of the other scientists who were involved in those discoveries were also very accomplished musicians. So Max Planck almost didn't become a physicist. When he was in college, he was struggling over his choice of major. And that was partly because his physics professor, Philip von Jolly, who was already kind of famous in physics in his own right, tried to talk him out of it. His claim was that in physics, almost everything is already discovered, and all that remains is to fill in a few holes. Now, keep in mind, this was before relativity, before quantum mechanics. So there was huge discoveries still to be made in physics, and Max Planck was involved in those. But people thought physics was over at that time because they hadn't made that next leap. One of the other majors that Max Planck was considering when he was in college was music. He was already a professional level piano player, organ player, and was really good on the cello. He was a very good singer. As a boy, he had already composed some of his own songs, including an operetta, and these were used in home theater performances that were happening around his and his parents' friend groups. When he finally did settle on physics as his major, he continued to work on his piano playing and his composing throughout the rest of his life, including studying harmony under a famous German composer named Joseph Rheinberger. So Planck's path is really interesting to me in particular, maybe even compared to some of the others, because there are ways in which it is similar to mine. I started college as a world language major. I was studying German, and quickly knew that I wanted to do something else, and I wasn't sure what. I considered physics, history, chemistry, mathematics, and music. I had been a saxophone player in middle school and high school and had played quite a bit at my church throughout high school and into college. But I eventually settled on chemistry as my major. I've had a fun career in chemistry, still having a fun career in chemistry. Hopefully got 10 or 20 more years to go on that. But I'm excited now to get back to working on my saxophone and have gotten really excited about jazz over the last few years. You can let me know if you like this kind of content by hitting the like button on this video, by following my page, or by commenting on the comment section in this video. If we like these stories, if I get good feedback, I've got at least 8 more of these planned, including Albert Einstein, Werner Heisenberg, and some others that you've heard of, as well as some that you might not have heard of, but are still very accomplished scientists who were also really good musicians. So I want to get these out in the coming weeks. In between, still working on posting my recordings of me on the saxophone playing those Lenny Niehaus songs, and maybe even a couple of other videos on saxophone tips. So have fun, play some music, learn an instrument, and study some science.